the Borough Green Tree Council meeting for November 4th, 2024. We'll have a pledge of allegiance. Before that, we'll have a moment of silence for this month of Thanksgiving. This month. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Like a roll call, please.
Ms. Barron,
Here.
Ms. Houts,
Here.
Mr. Panza,
Here.
Mr. Ray,
Here.
Ms. Schwartz, Mr. Tintori,
Here.
Mayor Shank.
I'd like to have approval for the October 7th, 2024 minutes. Anyone make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion to approve the minutes. Do we have a second?
Second.
Have a motion to approve. Okay. Yeah, we're good. We have a motion to approve and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained. Thank you very much. Just before that, I do want to welcome Jen as our new council person. Welcome to the show here. And appreciate you being here. Okay, we will move on to the MS4 PowerPoint presentation. Oh, I'm sorry.
Jim, we want to introduce.
I would like first like to have a hearing of the citizens. My bad. I was thinking about the PowerPoint. We're going to put the citizens first. If anyone would like to address council, please step up.
Hello, my name is Michelle, Michele Geiger, Giger. I live at 46 Pocono, Pocono Drive. I'm a Green Tree resident. First of all, I want to welcome the two new police officers that were sworn in. I think they were sworn in at least. And please let God protect them and keep them safe. I also want to congratulate Brad Gavlik, who has gotten a new promotion as the sergeant, which he truly deserves. Just let me say that we are all adults here, and we have all been taught by our parents to speak properly to each one of us, and everyone's opinion here are all welcome. We may not always agree with other people's opinions, but we are mature adults, and we can have a respectful talk without hurting people's feelings. With that being said, the people of the council, you guys who have been voted by the majority of the people, I would like to ask you, what are your plans? And what I am speaking of is Marion Manor Nursing Home. And I know I can hear you say that this is in the city. However, it does affect Green Tree. The city has now decided that they're going to put between 10 to 500 homeless people in this building. There are no specifics for a plan. I worked during COVID. I was a nurse. They took all the homeless and put them up at the Pittsburgh hotel. They had security around the clock, they had nurses around the clock. Everyone did not work because of COVID. But my husband, who has now since retired from Green Tree, did work during COVID. And he would tell you that because you put homeless people in a building, you cannot just put them in a building. You have people that are homeless that need care. They need social service to find them jobs. You are going to have people that have drug problems put there. They do not belong there. They need to be in rehab centers. You have people that have schizophrenic and other mental issues. They do not belong there. You cannot put a group of people that do not have jobs in one area and expect them to be able to look out for themselves. Now, once again, I know that this is the city. However, I called Sarah Honorado, who is the Allegheny representative for the city. They had a meeting last month and they were trying to slide it in because they have nowhere to put these homeless people. There is a federal guideline. They cannot just put people in nursing homes and schools. That's what they want to do because the city is out of money and so is Allegheny. So when you put these people in a facility and have no care to help them better themselves, what do you think is going to happen? Green Tree surrounds that area. They're going to come out, they're going to start stealing from people. They're going to start breaking into cars. They're going to start looting. They're going to start, and I know people were probably saying, oh, she's, making a big deal of this. No, I'm not, because this has happened in more than one area. So I did call DNDC numerous times because I have friends that live in the city. I grew up in the city, Pittsburgh, so I still have my friends that keep me apprised that there's a meeting happening tonight about this issue. The Allegheny County has no more money to pay for them, and so does the city, because Mayor Gaines is trying to condense schools and get rid of the schools to put the homeless in. So my question is that what are we gonna do and how are we gonna handle this? Because it will affect us. It will break down our home prices and you will have problems with things that are happening in the borough. Also, there are people on Scott that are gonna be talking about this issue, okay? This is an epidemic everywhere. Unfortunately, there are homeless everywhere. People need help and I'm all for help, but there are no plans. You can't put people in one area and not have a plan. You have to have some kind of plan to help them. So, with that being said, that is what I'm bringing up to the council. And I know that there are a lot of people that wanted to come to the meeting and could not make it. And I appreciate everyone's opinions, but we also need to have more communication. That is the most important part of being a borough, that there needs to be some form of communication for people that cannot come to the meetings. My children are adult children. One of them's moved out, another one is on his way out. I couldn't make the council meetings. And the other thing is my husband worked for the borough, so I couldn't make any comments. I had to not say anything. So now that my husband doesn't work for the borough anymore, you will probably see me at more council meetings and you will not probably enjoy my comments, but I am just asking for everyone to seriously think about this. That is gonna affect us and, think about what we can do. I've called, like I said, DNDC, I called Sarah Honorado, I called, the other council person is, Hillmeyer. She's the one that's trying to make the federal guideline follow, which means there is a thing that says that they have to vet the people. They can't just take these people and put them in. Like I said, if they have drug problems, you can't just put them in a place. There are gonna probably be kids there. You can't put children with people that have drug problems. You need to have people who have jobs. Everybody that owns property knows that you work hard and you take care of your property because you work hard to take care of your property. But everything is given to you. They really don't care if it's destroyed, looted, whatever.
Man, this is something that we have been monitoring. Julie can provide an update on this.
So when we got a few calls in the office, a couple weeks ago. And I think there was a meeting down the city planning commission potentially.
Yes, they had the meeting because they were trying to slide it through.
Judy and I attended that meeting.
Okay,
So I think the issue is a little bit twofold. I think there's a zoning amendment that is going through. Jay can speak to that because he's a little more on top of it procedurally. But when I heard that, I had heard a while back that that was not going to happen. So I thought, I needed to reach out to find out with certainty. So I reached out to both of our county council representatives because those types of facilities are placed and run by Allegheny County. not the city of Pittsburgh. I was told specifically they have no jurisdiction over creating and maintaining a homeless shelter, you know, to house these people. And I told her specifically, Bethany Howland is who I spoke to. She told me in no uncertain terms, the county has zero interest in that property. They said it is very expensive. I think it's, assessed at approximately $3 million. She said that the building itself is in pretty bad shape. It would require significant amount of rehab. But probably the most important part of that, the reason why they're not interested, she said the location is terrible for a shelter. She said it's adjacent to residential, the distance that it is from the city and where these people would need to get the things that they need to live. She said that, the 500, I'm not sure if you're familiar with that.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and she said, no, they've already located their, I thought she said they had made pretty significant progress on that already through downtown hotels that will no longer be used as hotels.
Because that's what they were doing up the Green Tree Plaza during COVID. That's what
I
they had.
That's why I
Yes.
know that your concern is absolutely 100% legitimate, because we lived that. I was here then, and I remember how difficult it was. And, you know, we had some pretty forceful meetings, if you will, with the county to say, you can't just do this.
Right, I mean, and being a nurse, like I said, you have people that need medical help, that is not an
Yes, yeah.
appropriate place for them.
It's not. And you know, I think when that first came in, they represented it that it was to house people who were displaced due to COVID. Because remember how everybody was so afraid you don't want to be anywhere near a person with COVID. So they put them in there.
But all I'm saying is I understand what you're saying,
Yeah.
but that's why they had that meeting. They were trying to slide it in under the residents, because I know I have people that
Okay.
I grew up with that went to the meeting also. So they are running out of places to put the homeless, like you're telling me these places that in downtown Pittsburgh, you're correct, they are putting them there. But they have so many homeless people, they're running out of space. So they have to look at other guidelines. This is one of the federal guidelines they're
Yeah.
trying to expunge, to let the Allegheny County allow them without notification of the public to put these people in this. If you read, they're trying to get that expunged off the books. So that means they can just bring a bus full of people and drop them off, and they
Yeah.
don't have to inform us.
And
Currently, what is the plan right now?
And I believe, there's a meeting,
Tonight.
Well, tonight, I didn't notice anything in June. The main thing that is on the agenda for Wednesday, I believe it's November 20th, is, Councilman Cale Smith. And I'll let Jake speak to this, because it's specific to an ordinance, the procedure by which these types of things, end up getting approved, so.
So essentially, and I've spoken with council on this already, but there is a potential that the city of Pittsburgh could undergo a zoning change, which would essentially allow them it would create a new use called a community home, which would allow for the sheltering of homeless individuals. There's been a second legislative proposal that's being considered right now to make that process a little more difficult. Without getting too technical, a community home is what it would be, and it would be permitted as a special exception, which would go before their zoning board, and that would be the end of it. The proposal is to reallocate it to a conditional use, which would require them to go through the planning commission and city council. So you have two competing pieces of legislation right now. One trying to allow this new use community home to help with the sheltering of homeless individuals. The other is trying to make it a little more difficult. We were made aware last month that a hearing on the matter was happening. Judy and I attended. They decided to push it out 4 weeks. We've been monitoring that case, and it's on the agenda for November 20th. With respect to Marion Manor specifically, I would have to defer to Judy and what she's heard from the council members regarding that specific property. I'm not saying that it's not a threat to Green Tree going forward by any means. It's certainly something to keep an eye on because of the proximity to the city. But it does sound, from at least what we've been told with respect to Marion Manor specifically, it's not currently on the table to use it as one of those community homes. So I can assure the audience here tonight, it's something that we're all aware of, and it's something that we are all monitoring. And, you know, the best we can do is essentially tell the city we oppose it. But at the end of the day, it's ultimately up for the city to decide. So.
So it's still on the table.
Yes.
Well, with
So,
respect to, oh, sorry.
Again, I will just say that, and again, Bethany Hallam is the county council representative, that I spoke with, and she said in no uncertain terms, and she even called Sarah Namarada's office just to say, look, am I missing something? But my understanding is this is not under consideration. And she said, absolutely, that location is not being looked at by the county for a homeless shelter. Again, they said that the location is terrible. You know, it's on banks of the road. They need these people to be in close proximity to places where they can walk or easily get to by bus. And she said that was number one, the location's terrible. Number two, property is extremely expensive. And like I said, it's assessed at $3 million. It's I believe, I want to say it's almost 20 acres of property. So it's hard to imagine a situation where whoever owns it would not want to sell it for a little greater profit. And I would think that they could get out of Allegheny County. And it was just, they felt that, you know, from talking to Bethany, that they're just not in a position, that property just does not serve the purpose. They were having much greater success with the hotels downtown.
They didn't realize that sooner?
I'm sorry.
They didn't come to that realization sooner?
See, I was told they never were seriously considering it. I don't know how this got traction, but I think what the difference may be is maybe the city is just trying some other angle. I don't know, but I can tell you my understanding with, and again, confirmed it with Bethany Hallam, is that the county is responsible. Department of Health and Human Services, they are the ones responsible to manage this. They're the ones responsible for providing these facilities and taking care of these individuals. And the plan is that the people that are currently in the overcrowded homeless shelters, you know, they try to work with them to help them to move on and get some skills and get some jobs and start to be independent. And it's those individuals, and there are a lot of them in homeless shelters that have some level of independence, and then they would move them into the hotels.
But it's a potpourri, not to interrupt, of individuals. It's the mentally ill, the drug addicts, as well as the homeless.
It's a terrible situation to have to manage. I mean, there's no doubt about it. You're dealing again with mental illness to drug abuse to, you know, there's a lot of other things we don't know that goes on. And, but I think again, the idea was to try to get some of the people from the homeless shelter that are much more stable and might do well in a hotel room, get them out of the shelter, and then pull the people from the streets and put them in the shelter. That it's like this transition plan. That's part of that 5 and 500. So, you know, it is, again, it's at the county level, from a, you know, managing these homeless individuals. And then more importantly, this property is owned by a private, you know, entity, like a corporation or whatnot. And it is located in the city of Pittsburgh. We can certainly and absolutely would, go out of our way to voice our displeasure that we don't have a vote. That's a little bit, you know, the frightening part of it. But, you know, Jake and I have already had many conversations about it, and we'll absolutely keep on top of it. I, in fact, sent another email to Teresa Kell-Smith this week. So it's not something that will be forgotten.
So it was a few things. One, because I'm trying to consolidate information that you, that we heard tonight. One, it is the city, so it would have to be zoned to be able to have it in the city.
Correct.
And that's what they're looking, the city is exploring ways to introduce a new zone, correct?
Correct.
Right. Then the county is in charge of all of those facilities. There are very strict, rules that they have to follow in terms of who can be housed with whom. So you cannot have children living in the same facility, like in a big room with just individual, single men, for instance. Like you're not allowed to have that happen. And I also want to make very clear, I think we all come at this with a lot of emotion, but we are also all humans who care a lot about other humans. And I always like to bring up the point that there is not one school district in Allegheny County that doesn't have children who are experiencing homelessness. Every single one, including our own. There are people who are experiencing homelessness in our community as we speak. Green Tree, Dormont, Castle Shannon, Sewickley, Upper St. Clair, everywhere. There are many different types of homelessness. There is chronic homelessness. That's the one that we think of the most when we think of people living on the streets. People who don't want to live in a home or have many different obstacles in front of them that are preventing them to live the standard life that we think of. And then there are a lot of people who have fallen on hard times. We know that that is more than ever, or more than we can remember. And there are children and parents, individuals, grandparents, women, mothers, fathers, who are also trying to leave hard situations and who don't have support systems. That is all what is encompassing in this. And I think it's really important to remember that this is not just it's happening over there thing. It's happening in our community too. It happens everywhere. Not one school district in Allegheny County, even the richest, has children experiencing homelessness.
Thank you.
My updated information, I talked to Anthony Coghill, city council person. He informed me that that group was looking at the Villa de Marillac in Stanton Heights. And I'm not sure, we could look on the internet, but they may be in agreement. But I know they are definitely pursuing the Villa de Marillac, which is an old nursing home. And it's right off of Stanton Avenue in Stanton Heights, and that's where their focus is right now. But I'm sure, I don't know if that's in the, out there on the internet, but that's my latest information. They were saying the county just does not have the money for, Marion Marinor, so.
But again, Jake and I will absolutely stand on top of it. I think, Ms. Becker, as you brought up, I mean, that situation over at the hotel made us, firsthand realize how bad it can be. And that was just a very small amount of people over there. And,
And I agree with, Shannon, homeless is a big problem, but the people that don't know what happened at the hotel, I can tell you, being a nurse, that if you walk in there, that's where they put everybody during COVID, and 75% of the people did not work. My husband and I worked. He was a police officer and I'm a nurse, and I can tell you from experience that people were peeing on the carpet, there were needles in the walls.
They actually had a death there too, so we're well aware of how massive.
It was
We
extremely.
had talked to the
messy.
county, I had conversations with the county manager and he agreed to stop doing that.
Yes.
So
and I
we've
just
been
don't
through
want it
that.
to- Yeah,
Sorry.
I don't want it to show up.
You
that
do not want
it
that.
affects our, our
You're
work.
correct.
That's what I'm saying, that we all have to be vigilant. People need help, but you need to have a plan. You can't just put people somewhere and not have a plan. You need social service, you need people to get involved in helping them become better situated in their problems.
I would,
So-
I'm sorry, I was gonna say,
Get back.
I would encourage all of you that plan part, that you're absolutely right, that every person who is experiencing those things does need assistance that is more than one person can give, right? I would encourage, that is caring for the homelessness does fall to the county. That is the type of communication and the type of responses that you can send to your county level folks, because they are the ones that have these plans. They are the ones that work on this. The COVID situation was awful for a variety of reasons. Just COVID was one of them, but many things related
Well,
to it.
DMDC, I called him, he is our state representative.
Yes,
He
he's our
has an
state.
office on Green Tree Borough.
Mhm.
I called him for 2 weeks, left my name and my number. And finally, after the 5th day calling him, his secretary answered the phone and she said, and I quote, He doesn't want that to happen, however, he has no control over it.
It is,
That is not true. He is a state representative. He represents everybody for the Allegheny County. He is a
he
state
does not
representative.
make the county rules. That's what it, so he.
I understand
that's
the
the county
rules, but
has
he's
to.
still involved in controlling, like,
I would just continue to take your voices to the county. I think, you know, what we can do is what Judy and Jake have been talking about, and that's where our level comes in. But that care of the unhoused people, individuals does lie with the county.
And I can say, so even like, say, for the county, say it's true, county, no interest whatsoever. I think maybe the focus needs to be a little bit twofold, is just to try to understand what the city is trying to do from a zoning perspective that could then negatively affect the future development of that property. And that will stay on top. And if we think it's something that would be detrimental to Green Tree as a whole, certainly we can speak out again.
yeah, Palmacino lives on that street, by the way.
There you go.
He is Allegheny County
Mhm.
representative. And I called his office also and got, well, he can't do anything about, he is Allegheny representative right there. So I'm just telling you, I've made my group of calls for 2 weeks. And the comments were, there was nothing I could do about it. And Palmacino lives on that street. He lives like 5 houses up from where they want to.
Actually, instead of
The mayor has, something he wants to say.
I'm familiar with the Pittsburgh Hotel. Chief Cleary and I met up there on a number of occasions. Yes, twice, but we met up there and met with all the people involved. But anyhow, I'm sure Jake will do it on November 20th. We have to see what this zoning, change is. Community homes, I've seen a lot of different definitions. Community homes, is that 5 people, is that 500 people? So Jake will report back in December. What's the proposal for a community home? I mean, it's a small place, a big place, in between place. How many relatives, how many non-relatives? So, and then we can, decide our plan from there. But as we indicate, we can only do so much, but we will do whatever we can. Thank you.
Thank you. We will do as much as we can. We will be diligent. Does anyone else like to address council, please?
Yeah, I just want to put a button on this. I mean, it's not done until it's done.
You state your name
I'm
and your
sorry,
street.
Lisa Shea. I live at 8 Elmhurst Road. I lived in Green Tree, I'm 54 since I was 38. You do the math. Just to put a button on this, whether it happens or not, there's still a question mark. What will happen with this property? Something still could happen that could be not sit well with us. It affects property value and it affects the crime rate. Now, we get break-ins in our cars all the time because we're always told by the police. And ex-Chief Cleary told me we are the second exit out of the city of Pittsburgh. So it's easy to burgle all of our cars and then hop on the parkway and get out of Dodge. So again, I've been living in Green Tree since I was 38, and on a regular basis, cars get broken into. And there's nothing, apparently, there aren't any cameras around that can get license plates of these cars that, the technology is there. I don't understand why it's an issue and why we don't pursue it further than we do. But if we are the second exit out of the city, and that's why cars get broken into on a cyclical, regular basis. Imagine if on the edge of Green Tree, we have housing like this, where you have, and for some reason, we keep focusing on the homeless, and I exercise humanity and I have a heart, and I understand the backstory as to why we have this epidemic. But there are other issues and there are other demographics to consider. When you're dealing with drug addicts and the mentally ill, it comes down to, you're putting now 3 groups of people under the same roof, or let's say down the road, again, this is a question mark. Let's say it doesn't happen with this project, but the next project, it's the mentally ill or drug addicts or the homeless, whatever. It comes down to, there's a right place for this. And is this building the right place for whatever it's being purposed for, being considered to be purposed for? So we have a right to take issue because first and foremost, it affects our property value. And if it's easy to get in a car, drive up the Green Tree, break into cars and steal things, and if not, my neighbor had their actual car stolen from their parking lot or from their driveway. Imagine if you're on foot, you have to walk through Green Tree to get to your city building. So yeah, it affects us. So while they're working on zoning and deciding what they're gonna do with this building, there's a saying, you're either pregnant or you're not. So until this is off the table, it's an issue for you, for me, and I think for all tax-paying Green Tree residents.
Thank you very much, appreciate it. Anyone else like to say anything?
And I would
Actually,
say
I'm not
every,
finished.
everyone
I'm
is,
sorry.
Thank you for the assumption, but I have the floor.
Oh, I'm sorry, but we usually limit you to a few minutes and I'm just trying to be kind and,
No, I actually.
but you
spoke
made
less
your
than-
point.
No, I
You made
didn't.
your point, but please go on.
Well,
for another
whoever made
minute or
that
two.
decision, and I spoke less than her, and you didn't interrupt her. So I wanted to put a button on her topic. Now I'd like to speak about what I came here to speak about.
Go right ahead.
Is that okay with you, Mr. Tintori?
and if I may, with respect to the,
I have the floor. My taxpaying dollars say I have the floor, and I would appreciate it if you don't make any assumptions as to when I made my point. That's my decision to make. I'm here speaking.
ma'am,
Don't interrupt me again. I'm not
Excuse me,
saying
but you are
any, I'm
limited.
not saying any, no, I'm not limited.
Yes.
Does every other council member agree that I'm limited and I should sit down right now?
No, I didn't say that. No one
Yeah,
said.
you did. You interrupted me and you tried to schlep me
Should
around.
we let you speak at this point? Why don't you just finish what you're saying?
Thank you.
Just finish your, thank you,
Your attitude is greatly appreciated.
thank you very much.
Okay, and your silence would be appreciated. Thank you. Okay. I wanted to put a button on that topic and I did. The second issue is this. We pay a lot of dollars paying taxes to Green Tree Borough. And we elect all of you to oversee how those dollars are spent. There are projects in the past and there are projects currently that have me scratching my head. It makes me think, there's not enough due diligence to ensure that all efforts are exhausted to make sure that a project is being done by the right person at the best price and that taxpayer dollars are being considered for every single project, big, medium, and small, that goes on in this borough. It is you that we elect who manage our taxpayer dollars. And every time we write our checks to you, we hold our noses, but we hope and pray that you are taking care of our money and spending it wisely. Now, I'm not going to delve into the minutia with this whole project. Yeah, I said the P word. We all know it is a waste of taxpayer money. And as a designer and as a female and somebody who understands the way life works, I would love for somebody to explain to me whose bright idea it was to incorporate into the design of the pool a VIP lounge area. This isn't the Wynn Hotel in Las Vegas. This is a public pool in Mayberry in Green Tree. So I can foresee the drama and the Real Housewives issues that's going to play out with this little square footage of real estate of VIP lounge area. Oh, so-and-so has been sitting there all week. She thinks she's somebody. I can see the drama happening. Poor design decision right there. I don't get it. So what I do know of the pool project, I hope it's not a done deal because it is a magnanimous waste of taxpayer dollars. So I didn't come here to speak about the pool project, but there's a reason why I'm bringing it up. Again, my point today is you are hired to take care of our money. Now, as it pertains to the pool, the first idea that the council came up with was to outsource and hire a company to manage the pool at somewhere around $140,000 a year. A third party, and if they're repeating, $140,000 expense to manage the pool. All of the board members, except for one, said, no, the math doesn't make sense here. Not a smart way to spend taxpayer money. There's a simple, easy solution here, but for some reason, this one singular council member was beat up and fought tooth and nail until it was decided, yes, Dave Ray, you are correct. Spending an hourly rate, paying one individual, an hourly rate, paying one person which equates to approximately, give or take, correct me if I'm wrong, $18,000 a year. We're looking at $120,000 difference. Why did it take one council member to have some sense of reason, and his math makes sense to me as a taxpayer? $18,000 compared to $140,000 sounds like a no-brainer to me, right? So ultimately, council saw the light, and we went with Dave's idea. Thank you, Dave, for caring about our taxpayer dollars. Thank you for looking out for all hard-earned money. So, but that makes me think the scales are tipping here. The majority of the council members were all for and fighting him because they wanted to outsource a third party to spend $140,000 to manage this pool, when one person could do it at an hourly rate for under 20 grand. The math is an insult to this taxpayer, and I hope it's an insult to each and every one of you. So it just lends itself to what is going on with council? What's wrong with your calculator? Are you guys working with some new math that I'm not unaware of? One council member has some sense of reason and cares about how our dollars are spent. Why were the rest of you so hell-bent on spending 140 grand to outsource this? And why did you fight him so hard when the solution was so simple and so easy? Then it comes to mind, it recently became knowledgeable to me that the person who previously was the pool manager was stealing our taxpayer dollars. This past summer, it was 891 hours that this one person logged as hours spent managing the pool. 891 hours. So let's use round numbers for conversation's sake. 900 hours. Okay, the year before that, Rob Oliva, who was the prior.
I'm gonna have to ask you to stop, because you're making accusations that are really
They're not accusations,
appropriate.
facts. I have
I'm
the letter,
sorry.
I'm working
sorry.
on the
They
letterhead.
are accusations. And
If what I'm saying is making you uncomfortable, that's not a good enough reason to shut
we
me
have a
up.
meeting to move on. I would like you to.
No,
just
you're
call me.
saying, no, I'm reading off of Green Tree Borough letterhead.
Ma'am,
This is
Judy-
your data.
Ma'am,
This is your data.
ma'am,
Is what
Judy
I'm
may
saying making
address,
you uncomfortable?
Judy can address a lot of what you're saying. I would also say, we do have to move on. We have a public policy that limits it to 3 minutes. Council's been very generous
We
today.
spent
May I
25
have-
minutes on a non-Green Tree issue for the first portion of this meeting, and nobody stopped the discussion.
Mr. Wright, Judy has the ability to answer a lot of the questions if she's given the opportunity.
And I'm wrapping
Please
up
stop.
if you would give me a moment to wrap up. I'm sorry what I'm saying is making you uncomfortable, which is for prompting you wanting to schlep me along. But I think every single person sitting to my right and left want to hear what I have to say.
Would you like to address it?
I have 1 minute. That's all I need, 1 minute. So again, what I'm about to say is leading to erroneous spending of our taxpayer dollars. So this past summer, this past year, it was revealed only 891 hours is necessary for the pool manager. And that will fit. Prior to that, the year prior to that, it was 1,900 hours, 1,800 hours, 1,672 hours. The previous manager doubled, if not went over double, and if that's theft of time card, that's theft of hours. Because nobody was checking his hours. There was an event, a Green Tree Borough event at the pool. That Rob Oliva logged 14 hours, yet he wasn't even there. He didn't even show up. But he charged the borough 14 hours for that day. So how many years, 15, 20 years, Rob Oliva was the pool manager, billing double, if not more than double the hours, stealing taxpayer dollars, and whoever signs off on his paycheck, I'd like to know why they never got out a calculator and said, hey, he's not there all day, every day. What's going on here? 1,900 hours? This doesn't make any sense. I'm going to start showing up, in closing, I'm going to start showing up at more meetings because I I think there's some carelessness going on with our taxpayer dollars. I think there's only one board member that's really shown that he cares about us and our money. So I'm going to ask my neighbors to start showing up. And I'm going to start keeping an eye, well, a full eye, and make sure that you take a little bit more care with our money. Thank you for your time.
Up to you, I'm happy to address some of her.
If not, you may speak, somebody else can talk.
Doesn't matter, I don't wanna step in front of you.
Yeah, if you would like to talk, Chris, go ahead.
Christine Short, 251 Park Edge. Speaking on behalf of the Recreation Board. Farmers Market again, which is 23 weeks. We did very well. We had a few of our members, they adjusted their work schedules to be there by 4 o'clock. Because we do have a situation where if you don't have money and you have to pay by credit card, you get these tokens. So these few females, they adjusted their work schedules, so they were there every week for 23 weeks unless they were on vacation. And so I want to do kudos to the Recreation Board, Jen Matthews and the crew that set up, tear down. We even had some folks who don't even belong to the rec board that helped us. And Mrs. Hines, actually, who was on the original committee, she was there periodically too. Halloween happenings at the fire hall, that was huge. We had a lot of kids. We had a great MC. It all worked out well. We have wreath making coming up on November 14th, and then our light up night is November 23rd at 5 o'clock. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Anybody else?
Nick Callis, Forest Drive.
Pardon
Nick Callis, Forest Drive.
Thank you.
For the record, I was the MC she pointed to me, so I was very happy to attend that Halloween happenings event. It was a fun time. I'm here to talk about communication again, just because that's my specialty, and I'm getting a little more frustrated with how the communication stuff is being handled. In September, after the meeting, I spoke with Ms. Barron and I said, hey, I think I have some ideas for this. She told me to go to the website, find the emails, talk to administration, because administration was, the only people that could really handle that. Council can't just make that decision, or one council person can't just make that decision on their own. I sent out an email, Dave Ray, Mr. Panza, they expressed their support and said, yeah, as soon as we can do something, hey, that'd be a good idea. Whatever you can do, as long as council's on board, we are in full support. Ms. Miller got back to me as well in a pretty timely manner, scheduled 2 meetings. So her availability is there. I'm not gonna make that criticism at all. I've heard that before. She's very available. She talks to the public. And she gave me an hour on 2 separate days over the last 2 months, which I am grateful for. We have a difference in opinion on social media and its effectiveness, which is totally fine. But the big reason I'm speaking today is because Green Tree Borough does have a YouTube channel that exists. And one of my ideas was, instead of posting the meeting after the fact to YouTube, that you live stream it. It's a simple process, going online and doing it on YouTube. And again, free help. I'm volunteering my time to help as much as I can with this borough because I care. And it seems like there's community members that I hear from that are also unsatisfied with how communication has gone. Kim's doing great over there. She seems like a great worker, and she seems like she does well. She told me the Green Tree Borough has a YouTube channel, while Ms. Miller told me that there's one not run by Green Tree Borough. And so for me, I don't quite know what to believe at this point about the communication that exists in the borough, because one person is telling me the YouTube channel is run by administration, one person is telling me there is no YouTube channel run by the borough. And so now I'm frustrated because I'm getting information that isn't adding up. Live streaming is super important because everybody gets notified on any app that they use, YouTube, Facebook, any social media. You get notified when the meeting starts. Whenever that meeting goes live, you get a notification. Your website, the app, that doesn't give you a notification whenever the meeting goes live. When you post a Zoom call, it's not right in front of people. It has to come up on their wall, and they have to find it amongst every other thing that they follow. Every other social media account that they follow. So I think that the communication could be better. I've heard that it could be better. And again, I'm free help. I'm here saying, hey, I'll help you guys adapt I'll help you guys integrate things, integrate modern technology into broadcasting these meetings so that you get less feedback, you get less flack for the amount of people that say, we don't know council, we don't know what was voted on, we don't know when it was voted on. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else?
Sam Solopek, 1195 Green Tree Road. I have several issues to address with council this evening. I've sent several emails over the last several months and I've not received a single reply. Does council have a duty to respond to resident questions and concerns?
Who have you been addressing your emails to?
The entire council and the borough manager in one specific council member in one, and the entire council in another.
Did you do a read receipt?
I did not do a read receipt. I guess I should start doing a read receipt.
I would say yes, the council has an obligation to reply to residents.
Agreed. Thank you. Ordinance number 1902 came as a surprise to me on this agenda. Can someone explain who determined it was in the best interest of the borough to retroactively change an employee's salary and back pay them for nearly an entire year? Where is the justification, and can we assume that all other borough employees will have the same privilege of receiving a similar salary adjustment as the borough manager, whose current salary is in line with current market standards? Okay. As you did not respond, I'm sorry?
I have similar concerns.
Thank you. As you did not respond to my email asking this question, can you please explain your rationale for not conducting a community survey concerning the additional pooled amenities, and why was there no discussion when Councilmember Ray requested a survey during last month's meeting?
I would just say that, I think that in not doing a survey, the 3 public meetings is where we tried to secure public input. All the meetings were advertised, they were announced, a month or 2 in advance, sometimes 3 months. So I would say maybe that was probably the means by which to get community feedback as opposed to doing an actual community survey. Obviously that's probably the means by which we went about trying to secure community input, which we did, and there was a lot of the community input that we received from the swim team. They didn't get everything that they wanted, but I know one of the designs had the lanes in the middle, and they gave us that feedback. We don't want that. There was feedback to the extent, please don't get rid of the baby, because that was one of the options when a baby pool. The big one with the 0 interest, and we didn't need a separate baby pool. And that was taken into consideration. I do realize at the end of the day, not it's kind of like that. You can please some of the people some of the time, not all the people all the time. And I do think that ended up being the case with the pool. But I do think that there was an effort to get community input, and I do think that the people that did attend expressed some things that were absorbed and then there was the latest change where, there was more feedback about 4 foot's just not deep enough. The design could accommodate a 6, so that change was made as well. There will be more meeting, probably coming up, I would say maybe early January. I don't know for sure, so don't quote me on that. We didn't hear back from the architect, and at that meeting, again, we would talk about like amenities that would go in the pool. I know that some people always express concern they don't want to see things in the pool because it obstructs the swimming, or obstructs views. So from that perspective, I think council was already of the mind that that seems like that's not popular. That maybe we could do some things in the baby pool if the well wasn't used. So I think that was it. And talked to a lot of other managers who've been in this business a long time. Some communities have done it, some have not. And some of them that did it poorly. And they got very isolated feedback with it, and kind of ended up kind of backfiring because, people say, well, I didn't get that, I didn't get that. And how do you get it out to them? And when you do QR codes, you do emails, you do website. And even when you do all of that, sometimes people will still say, I didn't know about it. I know, for instance, when I was talking to Nick about our communications, and that's his specialty, he was unaware that we had the Green Tree Connects app. So, we're trying to do, work with the staff to try to put QR codes more places so that we can get that Green Tree Connects app out there to get people like right here, it's great participation and to get people here to give us that feedback. But I really, I will say, maybe the survey hindsight, is always 2020. Maybe that would have been a great idea if you could get to everybody, and if you could get everybody to say, do you want to spend your taxpayers' dollars on this poll? I mean, that's a real outcome that could happen. You could have the majority of people say, no, we don't want to poll, we don't use the poll. You know what I mean? So I just think you need to be careful. We, again, announced it. You can do the surveys, but who's gonna see? Are you gonna get the same response? Well, I didn't see the survey. You didn't do a good job of getting it out. So I think it's tough. I mean, sitting up here is not an easy job on a lot of days. But I really do think that the council did a pretty good job at trying to let the community know and talking about it in advance of the meetings, even so far as to place a motion on the March meeting, which is not necessary. Place a motion on the March meeting agenda to announce and accept and schedule the April 8th meeting, which is for the sole purpose of kicking off the whole discussion. So again, I think we need to give credit where credit's due, and not going on the credit side. I just think that we did. It wasn't like it was in the dark of night and nobody knew about it. And it was never during that process, during the March, the April, the May, the June, never at any time did, and I did, and maybe council did, never at any time did I get feedback like, was there a meeting about the pool last month? Or was there a meeting about the pool April and May? You know what I mean? I didn't get that.
Judy, did you post the meeting in full?
The pool, well, the June, I guess the
Did you post
June,
any of the meetings?
the pool was not open, David.
It was April.
April.
There was no
May.
one.
Yeah. There was
The
only one
June-
meeting during the pool.
the Ju-
Yeah, Good
It was the
idea.
voting meeting.
it could have absolutely been posted at the pool. I'm not gonna say that would have been a good
Did-
idea, but it was on the website.
Did the designer go back and make the pool smaller after we asked to make it bigger?
I think that there was a typo on.
Oh,
one of
that's
the-
a number, that's the first. Now there's a typo.
That was what, it's always, I said, the numbers weren't, but it is.
We know,
it is a
it's in the
fact.
minutes that we asked, and everybody on council agreed. They instructed the designer to go back and make the pool bigger, and he came back and made it 400 square feet smaller. What?
And again, I think that there was an issue
What?
with one of the documents, but it is 32. If you take.
What's the issue with the document? This is the first I'm hearing there's been issues with any documents. It's in the minutes.
There was a.
The minutes were approved.
There was a poll, the user loads were accurate. And the pool that we have now, the way the user load is calculated for the pool currently have. And the way the user load is calculated for the pool we're going to have, those calculations are done in the same fashion.
I'm not talking about user load, I'm talking about square foot. The mayor's email was also not
It's
addressed.
32 people.
Ms. Miller, I appreciate your heartfelt response. I was specifically asking about a community survey discussing the optional pool amenities that we have not had a meeting about yet. And
Yeah.
as we have addressed that, a community survey would have been probably ideal in hindsight for the pool design. Can council consider conducting a community survey so that community members feel like they have an option and an input in at least the optional amenities that we're going to discuss in January?
Yeah.
And I'll find out when it's gonna be, and that's certainly something, we can talk about. Again, I think the challenge will be is, are we getting to every single person? Or is it going to be the most passionate? And then if it comes out really expensive and then it's, whatever. I think it's definitely something worthy of a conversation. I would never sit here and just say, absolutely not gonna do that, or absolutely for sure we're gonna do that. I think it's something that I need to talk with the council about to see if I can get a comfort level with knowing that we're getting a good cross section, good feedback that is representative of the people. That's all, that would be my concern. It's just, because again, in talking with some of the other community managers that have gone through this, some of their surveys were very poor. because I'd rather not do it and do it in these community meetings. Than,
But why not try? What's the harm in trying to reach the whole community?
Excuse me.
so, yeah, so anyway, I'm absolutely something to talk about. You're welcome.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Sorry, just to go with Nick said, I also think there's a communication problem in the borough.
Thank you.
Diane Combs, 272 Ringgold Avenue. I think I'm gonna talk about trifling stuff. My concern was Marion Manor. Thank you for introducing that and giving a backstory on that. I will tomorrow correspond with the Allegheny County Council with my concerns. That's the best I could do. I'm concerned about money in the future, right? would rather pay 2 to 5 to 10% a year as opposed in the year 27 or whatever, that we get hit with 47% increase that we're being out of money. I don't know, the budget and everything, but with, Scott Township got hit with that waste tax. Allegheny County's, they're flipping out that they don't have money. I'd rather have a gentle slap in the face every year, and then you guys put that money in reserve and build equity, as opposed to, that money will outlive my life. But instead of getting hit 20%, 40% down the road. So that's just a concern I have. I have a concern as well, and I've mentioned it before, people do not have street numbers on their houses. I think that needs to be addressed. I know if you put people's names in their phone, it would take you right to their house, but you don't know if you got there or not. So that's, if some Boy Scout is looking for a project to do, that's a great community service thing. That would be wonderful. My last topic is streetlights. I had an issue on my street that was addressed, but I know Public Works is not out at night, okay? Being it last night, the sun went down early, the whole thing. I actually went outside after, and the street light on my house was like not existent. I know the policemen circumvent the borough, and I don't understand why they're not looking for this. Why is me as a resident have to do this? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hello. Don Folkmar, 106 Apple. I echo everything that's been said tonight. And I just want to let that known. And it is great to see this room full of people who are concerned citizens. Because I've been here many times when there's 3 of us or 4 of us. It's nice to see the community coming in. Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else?
Michelle Berchensky, Trainter Avenue. You can just copy and paste what from last time's minutes. I again want to pause the pool. I know it's like such a dirty word, but we've had such a beautiful September, October, and November. Boy, would it be nice to have a lovely pool all of 2025 and maybe close it the last 2 weeks of August and have like a party on Labor Day to dig the pool up and then start the construction. Again, just copy and paste what I said the last time. And if somebody could ever second Dave's vote to bring the pool back up, somebody have some balls. Thank you.
Maureen Callis, Forest Drive. I do want to revisit the communication piece. I also am a nurse. I thank Ms. Geiger for bringing up this homeless issue. I am well versed in homelessness. I think we all are as humanitarians living in 2024. And it's not about looking at he, she, and they, whether it's the pool or not, which is the issue that got me in the room. And I've lived here for quite some time. This is my baby. I don't have a Green Tree pool student anymore. Swim team anymore because I am not at that age. So I feel that information about the pool was targeted for that age level. And I don't think that any type of communication can be overlooked. As a school nurse, I'm required to have social media and I'm required to put things out on social media. So the more information we have, and the more venues we have to share it, we should take advantage of all venues, because here's the thing, people. Social media is free. It's free. I have the app, I get the emails, but what do I have in my hand at all times is my phone, looking at Facebook, writing my X's, and looking at my Instagram constantly. So why are we not taking advantage of that free resource? And not to pimp my son out at his specialty, but there are students in our school district that live in this community, because I don't know how many of you know that my son chose to drop out of football his senior year to start the Keystone Oaks Sports Network, where he sat literally in the bathroom, in the stands, and announced Friday night football games and built his career off that. So why are we not tapping into the youth of our community that's free, because they might be successful career people in the communication area, like my son? And I think he's pretty freaking fantastic for coming to these meetings and inviting his mother to come as well. So I just want to say to you, free is for me. And as a nurse who needs to get information out there, and I'm not here to be militant, it is Veterans Day on Monday, and I was required to wear camo today to school in honor of the veterans, so I would like to request a moment of silence for the veterans that we will be honoring on Monday. Thank you for your time. Any information is important to get to everyone as often in any way that we can. My 93-year-old father would not be on the Green Tree Connect app. He would not be. So let's reach to, it is free, you're right, but let's get it out there to everyone, and let's pause the poll till everyone is happy, or at least make sure that all of us are invited to this next meeting. Because I was in the hospital with him, fighting for his life while we were having meetings about it. So that's why I wasn't there.
Thank you. Yeah.
Chris Crossley, 6'9" West Manila. I just wanted to bring up the Green Tree Connect app. So we have 4 kids in the community. Between the schools, the sports, we've never missed a sports game. We've never missed announcements with the school district. I know everything that's going on in every school Keystone district right now, thanks to these apps. There's been a lot of complaints about communication. I think the borough could do a much better job of this. I think you should really review how these communications go, especially with the app. I've seen it referenced several times. Personally, I think the app performs really poorly. It's good for instantaneous announcements, but the calendar's garbage, in my opinion. They can be much better managed, much better functional to sync, and to pass out the information. Thank you.
Thank you. And that? Okay, we're gonna move to the MS4 PowerPoint presentation.
You want me just a real quick?
I would like to listen.
Yeah, sure. I'll make it.
I'm sorry, go
I just
ahead.
think it's important to.
And it's fine.
So, talking about I heard you mention like some hours, 890 hours. So I think the difference, that we're talking about and the money that we're talking about is, so we previously had a pool manager and 2 supervisors. That was how the pool was staffed, and then obviously guards and concession people. And the pool manager did all the hiring and all the scheduling of all 55 kids. So it's all the lifeguards and all the concession stand employees. So that was that person's responsibility. The other 2 were supervisors, just to be on site and oversee, because when the pool gets busy, it's important to have a couple of dogs on site. So just as a way of comparison, in 2023, pool management, so the manager, and which you already said was 1,768 hours, and the 2 supervisors logged 2,720 hours, so 2,720 hours for the season. That was in 2023. In 2024, so we had a pool manager and we have an assistant manager because, it's difficult to get somebody that's going to spend 70 hours, 70 days a week. So you need kind of that breakdown in coverage. And then we get a pool manager that would also be able to handle, the hiring and management and running of the concession stand. First year in would be difficult at best, so we separated it. So, I had the pool manager, I had an assistant pool manager, and then we had one of the supervisors from last year stepped up and agreed to, manage the concession stand. So it's buying all the food, managing the food, hiring the young individuals that work it, and they're young, they're anywhere from 14 to usually 15, 16. So young, a lot of them, it's their first job, it requires a lot of, attention. Anyway, so 2023 pool management hours was 2,720 hours.
Rob's hours only, that's what I'm speaking
Rob,
of, just his, not the other two supervisors.
No.
Just Rob.
That's totally fine. But I could not replace Rob with one person, the pool manager, I would say. I could
But
not
that's not what I'm
replace.
speaking about.
I think we actually are speaking about that, when we're talking about what it took to manage the pools.
I'm speaking about Rob's hours and Rob's hours alone. And nobody else's hours,
I
like our
can't-
concession
yeah.
stands are 15-year-olds. I'm speaking about one individual's numbers that he submitted and got paid for. And
And unfortunately, with all due respect, that's not something that I would discuss on the public floor, but I was just trying to help
well, due
illustrate
to the
that.
Freedom of Information Act,
So-
I did provide that information to Michelle Ray. I have
I
the document
have-
with your letterhead right here.
I
You
have it
provided
right
that
here.
information, so why wouldn't you speak to a community, speak about it now if it's public information?
What's the 2023 hours, period?
2024.
2023.
For just the
The
manager,
pool manager plus the.
the other two, 2,720. And so this year we were at
Rob's-
2,651.
Rob's in 2023 as well.
1,767.75 hours. Rob's hours
About a
only,
1,000 hour difference, and then what was it in 2024?
891 hours, and that wasn't Rob.
No, what, pool management, so in 2024, you had a pool manager. That was
Assistant
8.
manager. So between the two positions,
No,
That's,
one position.
but she had to hire 2 to replace 1,
Right,
so what was
that's
the
what we
total?
have technically.
right. Oh, you're right. Okay, 891 hours.
So the manager and assistant manager was 1,472. And let's keep in mind that those two individuals had no responsibility for scheduling the concession stand staff at the front gate, nor did they have any responsibility for, managing the concession stand, buying the food, managing the food, getting things cleaned up, getting out the old, bringing in the new. It's a lot of work to run a concession stand, believe it or not. So just to be fair, I took the individual who served as a supervisor last year, and I compared her hours from 2023 to 2024. And there was a difference of 159 hours. So an additional 159 hours were worked this year due to that added responsibility of managing there's about 27, 28 young people that work the concession 7 days a week. So that added responsibility took a little bit more time, and obviously the grocery shopping for the concession management. So if you take the manager, the assistant manager, and just those few extra hours, 159 hours, that for the running of the concession stand, that came up to 1,639 hours. So a difference from the one person to the 3 that were managing that same stuff was about 137 hours difference. If you take the total number of pool hours, management hours, from 3 people to 4 people, spread it out a little bit, you can just see in the numbers, like the assistant manager worked a lot less hours. It's a difference of 69 hours.
So this 891 hours for 2024, how many, that's one person. So one person was able to do all of the work it took to manage the pool?
Not, a third of it.
40, okay.
Yeah,
Okay, so the year before, 2023, the 1,767 hours, how many people is, that's for one person?
yep. And now keep in mind, that's not just the summer season, that starts earlier in the year.
Right.
You know, there's getting before, that individual, I will also say, did, just because of the nature, having been there for many, many years, like 13 to 14 years, managing that facility and managing the pump house, and it's quirky. It's 64 years old. It's not like you just go in and flip switches and doesn't tell you anything, you have to figure it out, so. A lot of time spent that, taking filters, places, you know, to get cleaned out, and that all stuff was done by the manager. We transitioned that over to Public Works this year, so that was done by another department altogether. So, and I'm happy to talk to you about it a little bit more. We do have meetings.
Sure,
to
sure,
get going, but I'm
sure.
happy to have a conversation because, look, and just as a point of reference too, we did talk about outsourcing pool management because I have to tell you, I know that not opening the pool year is a really big deal. But if I don't have a pool manager under Allegheny County bathing place, you, in a certified bathing place manager, certified pesticide applicator, certified pool operator, you can't open. You cannot open. So I was scared to death that if it came March or May and I couldn't find somebody or I got them and they didn't work out, which I can tell you was my experience this year, I ran the risk of things not going smoothly. And as it turned out, they went fantastic. The staff came together. We had those people come back that those people, some of those people couldn't guarantee that they could come back. They couldn't tell me in March they were coming back. They didn't tell me they were coming back until maybe May. With that said, I just want to say that it was my idea to outsource pool management. And the reality about outsourcing that pool management was that we are still 100% in control. We set a policy, we set a price. Our people got hired first, without a doubt. There was never a question that our guards would not come back. They wanted our guards to come back because you know how hard it is to find lifeguards. We've maxed out at 24 this year. The manager said he actually wanted 30 guards. We got 24. My point is, so with that, and you said it was 140, they actually wanted to charge 160,000. And that was for provision of management, and all lifeguards. $160,000. So for comparative purposes, we ended up spending 156, 127. That was the management. That is just that, and that all that number counts is just the manager, the assistant manager, and the lifeguards. That does not include concession or concession workers. So we were very close to what they were going to charge us. And that 160, actually, if I add in we provide guards for the swim team at no cost. So it's an extra couple hours a day, 5 days of the week. That was not included in their price. So even when I added that in, that would have taken them up to let's just round up, 164,000. And then they were also willing to give us credit for the days. And you figure out the daily rate of the pool is, I want to say it's about 1464 minimum just for guards. That's just lifeguards, forget the management. That would have been another 14,000 deduct off of that 163.
But wasn't there a borough meeting last year about Rob stealing money? And the borough shot it down for
on
saying
that,
it?
and that was never.
Can we move on?
Yeah,
Thank
I agree. I just want you to
We can talk
understand,
about it
those are the numbers.
Sidebar.
Doors open, phone, pick a phone, you can email me, whatever. It's important that you understand that
Right.
that decision was not.
We could talk about it offline.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Okay, I apologize.
Okay, I would like to move on to the annual MS4 update from LSSE engineer. Thank you for your patience.
So we'll get we got a little PowerPoint for everybody here, so we'll get it going, and when we have it down, I'll get going. I'll invite members of council if they want to come out front. I think I have the I'll say one page as well.
All right. Just it's spare, Chris. Just to introduce. Chris. Yeah, would you mind, John, just one more?
And that one more interruption, go ahead, Judy, why don't you do that?
So, some of you may or may not know, we had a vacancy this summer in our code enforcement building inspection department here. And that's a really tough position to fill because, it requires a lot of certifications, a lot of knowledge. And then the code enforcement side of it is, it's not real fun. It's basically yelling, the grass is too high and you have too much junk outside your house. And it's just, again, it's a very difficult position to fill, but we were very lucky to, we invited our, BCO, building code official, code enforcement officer here tonight, just to introduce himself to you. He's out in the community a lot. He's really, he has hit the ground in a full sprint, really trying to, keep Green Tree clean, keep properties tidy and neat, because let's face it, if you want to sell your house, not that you'll ever leave Green Tree, but if you want to just relocate to another street, which I've seen that happens actually quite often in Green Tree, you want to be outside your house, you don't want the house next door to be falling apart or garbage outside or the grass is a mess, which is landscaping generally not taken care of. So with that, I'd like to introduce you to Christopher House. Go ahead, Chris, he just wanted to say a little bit about himself and, just so if you see him out in the street, you'll know who he is and.
Turn this way.
Yeah, so.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Residents, council, mayor.
Sorry, your screen is already out. I apologize. I just saw you sitting there and I thought I didn't, not that John's not quick and interesting.
Hello, engineer. Yeah, was just recently hired and want to thank you all for the opportunity. Council for hiring me. Been at this for several years, I think 23 as an inspector. And planning and zoning guy, excuse me. It's a lovely community here and I would say, I'm sure you'd like to keep it that way. Yeah, from an inspector's standpoint, it's a great place. You have a little bit of everything. So we've got some industrial, a lot of commercial, a lot of houses. Lot to get into and of course protect. So I'm your guy. If you have concerns, give me a call. And
Email address is very simple. It's just chouse@greentreeborough.com.
Sure. If anyone has any questions?
Could you say your email to the microphone so that people want to can hear you?
Yes, C house, same as a house.
At GreenTreeBorough.com?
Yes, sir.
Just wanted everybody, I mean, it's a new face and it's a very public face. It's a person out there. If you see him snooping around your neighborhood, that means somebody's not behaving.
Not necessarily.
Okay, well,
Thank
Chris,
you all.
you,
Thank you for coming.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. I know you're, I know you're on the side, you're welcome to. Okay. Thanks, John. Apologize for that. Okay, this is John Valinsky. He is from our engineering firm, Lennon Smith. And he will tell you why he's doing what he's doing. It's called an MS4 presentation.
Good to see everybody again. I was here about this time last year, so this is an annual thing we like to do for all of our communities that we represent. Is just give an update of an MS4 permit. I'll go in a little bit of detail what it stands for, what the requirements are, and what the borough is doing to meet and achieve and exceed those requirements. So up on the slide here, you see a quick little agenda. Again, I'll go through this all in a little more detail as I go through here over the next several minutes. All right, so for those who don't know what an MS4 is, MS4 stands for Municipal Separate Storm Sewer System. It's a DEP issued permit. DEP is the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection relative to stormwater. Almost every community in the state has some form of an MS4 permit. Most of Allegheny County has a very similar permit to what Green Tree has. The ultimate goal of this permit is to improve water quality within not only the borough, but all the watersheds in the state. It's a nationally recognized program through EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, and every single state has some form of this permit as well. right, so part of this MS4 permit is broken down into what are called 6 minimum control measures, or MCMs for short. Each one of these MCMs is essentially a guide for each municipality to complete annual task and kind of educational materials and kind of a go by of how they should be completing their MS4 permit activities. MCM1 is public education and outreach of the MS4 permit, and I'm going to tie public involvement participation MCM2 into it as well. These two go very much hand in hand. MCMs 1 and 2 are very much getting the public and the residents involved in this permit. So various means and methods of this is sending out information in the newsletter, having stuff on the website, flyers and pamphlets available here at the borough office, providing information in part of building permit package, is any sort of development that comes into the borough, those kind of things to make sure that all the residents and developers are aware that there's MS4 requirements. Again, the goal of the MS4 is to improve water quality. That way we have clean streams throughout the state. Also part of this is, again, public meetings. We want to get community feedback and involvement in this. That's why one of the reasons why I'm here tonight is to just make sure all of the council is up to date of what the MS4 permit is for the borough, and any residents that are in attendance get familiar with the permit as well. Ultimately, what we want to do is get as much feedback and involvement as we can. And so it's events like this with here tonight where we have to get back and forth during this presentation. It's also getting you involved in any sort of public participation activities, such as recycling events, cleanup events, stream cleanup events, anything like that. That way we want to ultimately improve the environment in the borough. So anytime there's any sort of advertising of these recycling events or anything like that, we want to make sure you guys have the opportunity to participate and get involved in these aspects. MCM number 3 deals with illicit discharge detection and elimination. So like I mentioned earlier, this is a storm sewer permit. So this is relative to the catch basins and manholes within the borough roads that you guys see when you're driving. Many people don't know that the storm sewer system, some people would assume, gets treated at a treatment plant. A lot of stormwater infrastructure just gets discharged back to streams and ultimately to the Ohio River. So the main reason we want to make sure everyone's aware of this separation is that we're not discharging or dumping anything into these catch basins. Some common things that you might see going into these catch basins that aren't supposed to go in there include oil, paint, grass clippings. Those kind of things should not be being dumped into your storm sewer inlets in front of your houses or on the roadways. And ultimately, you just want to have stormwater getting into this infrastructure. If there's ever a time that you see something that you're suspicious of, that's where you want to call the borough office and then let them know. Code enforcement can come out, do some investigation, and see if there is a potential source of what we call an illicit discharge. MCM4 is relative to construction site stormwater runoff control. This is specific to any sort of buildings or developments that are ongoing in the borough. Again, whenever you're doing any sort of earth disturbance within the borough, you want to have what's called erosion and sedimentation controls on your property. These common themes are self-sock, self-vents, rock construction entrances. Essentially what you want to be doing is if you're doing any sort of earthwork activities, you're keeping the disturbance to within the property limits. You're not making a mess, throwing any dirt on your neighbor's property, getting any sort of mud or anything onto the borough roadways. Because ultimately, if you discharge muddy water, then you're discharging muddy water all back to the Ohio River. And the whole goal of this whole permit is to make sure that our water quality is improved and reduce the amount of sediment or siltation getting into the water is one of the main goals of it. MCM5 is post-construction stormwater management facilities. These are what you would commonly hear as rain gardens, underground detention tanks, stormwater detention ponds. The goal of this is just to ensure that any sort of these facilities that are within the borough are maintained properly, and that whether it's borough-owned or privately developed owned, that they're maintaining the facilities in accordance with the operation and maintenance plan that is on record for each of these facilities. Some of these typical activities include mowing and making sure that the facility is dewatering as it should be. MCM number 6 is pollution prevention and good housekeeping. I like to always equate this to essentially how the public works and borough staff operate kind of on a day-to-day basis. Ultimately, what MCM 6 is making sure that the borough is operating in accordance with all MS4 activities. So that includes how they're doing the oil changes, filling up their gas truck or the gasoline and filling up the equipment, mowing, salt removal, salt spreading, all those kind of things. So there is a written plan that the borough does have on file here that Public Works does follow, to make sure that they're doing, all these MS4 activities and all the activities in accordance with MS4 compliance. A lot of this stuff is very second nature that, all of us here kind of do anyway, that, you know, we're not using too much fertilizer on our yard, or we're not using too much weed killer, those kind of things. But we do have that written plan in place that the Borough Public Works implements. Again, with all these 6 MCMs, the ultimate goal of it is to improve water quality within the watersheds. So some of our self-checks that we do every year include what's called an annual progress report. So we work with borough staff to prepare this report. It's about a 20-page document that we submit, and a bunch of attachments to the Department of a DEP for short. That way they have documentation that the borough is completing their MS4 activities in accordance with their MS4 permit. There's also what's called an inspection. So once every 5 years, DEP does go out to each municipality and does what's called an inspection. Essentially what they do is they go through the borough paperwork of the MS4 files, they do a field review of the public works garage and other stormwater infrastructure to make sure that stuff is still being maintained in accordance with the MS4 permit, and everything that we're documenting in these progress reports is accurate. So we did have an inspection earlier this year. I believe it was either January or February of this year. No violations were noted. We had no negative comments, and they said Borough Green Tree's MS4 permit's one of the better ones that they have seen. So I want to credit to the staff and the council for help continuing to implement a great MS4 permit here in the borough. So what we'd expect here is, again, within 5 years, DEP will be coming back to do another follow-up inspection. We hope to have everything go smooth sailing as this one did. So part of this permit that was also a new requirement here recently is what's called a pollution reduction plan. So this PRP for short was a plan that was adopted back in 2017 that required the borough to construct a few projects that reduce the amount of sediment within the borough being discharged back to the watershed. So part of what we had to do is document each year of some of this PRP progress, and I'll go a little more in detail on that here shortly. So the current permit, just to circle back to when this permit was issued, this permit was issued in 2018. It's been kind of issued since essentially 1972 under the first Clean Water Act, and it's just evolved since then. The most recent permit has been issued in 2018. It was set to expire in March of 2023, but as of a lot of things, other things related to COVID, the permit was extended until March 2025. So the slide you're looking at here was the update that we presented last year at council, and we do have another update here that I'll talk about momentarily. But again, old situation was the permit was set to expire March of 2025, and we really didn't have any guidance on what the next permit for next 5 years would look like. Now back to the PRP current status that the borough has been working on. The borough was awarded $1.275 million in grant funding to construct these projects. These projects included a stream restoration project down on Glencoe Avenue, or Lower Whiskey Run. Currently that project is in permitting department with DEP. We have acquired some private property easements to construct this project. So once this permit's issued, I'd expect this to be constructed sometime in the calendar year of 2025. The borough has also completed another rain garden project up at the Green Tree Park, and that project has been completed. So what you're looking at here are a couple photos of a similar stream restoration project that the borough will be completing here, like I said, next year. These two photos are in Baldwin Borough of a recent project we completed earlier this year. The ultimate goal of these stream restoration projects is to stabilize the eroded banks that are ongoing down on Whiskey Run and stabilize them with some vegetative cover and install a riparian buffer. Again, the goal of this is to reconnect the floodplain and help decrease the velocity of the water going through the lower section of Whiskey Run to help reduce the erosion that is ongoing down there. And the photo you see here is again very much just a general location map of where it's at. For reference, where I'm pointing at to right there is the approximate location of the gate where the roadway ends and it turns into the trail. So as I mentioned earlier about the current permit timeline, recently this past May, DEP issued another extension. This one's kind of an indefinite extension for the current permit. So right now what we've been informed is your current MS4 permit has been extended until DEP issues new draft guidelines for the next 5 years. We expect to see whenever we get those draft permit guidelines, we have about a year to review them with council and see what our game plan is for the next 5 years and what, if any, projects that we do have to complete. Some of the feedback we have heard through various presentations from DEP is that they might focus on larger watershed-driven projects. This past permit cycle has been more community-driven, individual municipality projects. We'd expect them to kind of put some more emphasis on doing larger watershed-wide projects. So here in the borough, you're obviously tributary to Chartiers Creek and to Sawmill Run. So we might see that they might try to encourage joint municipal efforts to construct projects to reduce the sediment and again, improve the water quality. We would expect them to give us a little bit of a longer lead time for these planning purposes. Specifically see for what grant funding we can get out there, and if there's any permits required to complete this work, allow for that lead time as well. So the main thing we want to focus here on to end 2024 and go into 2025 is completion of the stream restoration project. As I mentioned, once we have a permit issued from DEP for that stream restoration work, we'll get that work completed, hopefully, like I said, in 2025. And we want to continue with the annual tasks. So that includes staff training, refreshing them, other MS4 permit requirements, and completing some other annual tasks of pond reviews and reviewing the storm sewer infrastructure within the borough. So with that being said, that's everything I have tonight. I'd be happy to answer any questions from the residents or from anyone on council.
Question, thank you. On the funding, we could go back to the slide with the funding, $1 million in local share, we were 275,000. And we've gotten 1.275. So my question becomes, we did the one project, the rain garden.
Correct.
So first of all, is there any time limit on what time we have to spend that 1.275?
Off the top of my head, I don't remember the exact expiration of the contract. I'll be happy to look at that and get that over to Judy to relay to you. But typically from when these grants are awarded, you typically have 3 to 4 years to spend the money.
How much have we spent on the rain garden of that 1.275?
You spent around figures around 350 so far.
And how much do we anticipate paying for the risky run stream improvements?
So we feel pretty comfortable the balance that's still in the grant funding is going to not only cover the Whiskey Run Stream PRP project, but also that lower Glencoe wall, finishing the connection of those 2 retaining walls that are down at the bottom of the hill.
Do you believe that the 1.275 is sufficient to do the improvements that were required to keep our funding?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So the DEP from anything, Allegheny County, Green Tree Borough, anything, they take.
Relative to the MS4?
Yes.
Correct.
Can I ask a question? The 2 rain gardens they put over in Green Tree Park. How far is it till it gets to the river? And what has the city of Pittsburgh done to keep our clean water clean?
So relative to the locations, right over the hill, there is a stream defined by DEP right at our discharge points of those rain gardens. So we are right at a tributary to those 2 Sawmill Run. Relative to what the city has done, I can't speak to that because we don't represent the city, so I don't know specifically what projects they have planned between the city and Pittsburgh Water and Sewer Authority.
You're saying our rain gardens go into a creek?
There's, if you were to look at a DEP defined map, there is a stream, a delineated stream on there.
The name?
It's an unnamed tributary.
I have a question. 1, can we name the tributary? Because now I want to name it. And 2, the looking for the future for the next one, they're gonna be, you said that the general feedback is they're gonna be thinking about larger bodies of water. What is a large body of water is what I'm wondering.
When I say larger projects, I mean more so large community, like working with your neighbors as a watershed as opposed to these individual little tributaries.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. So.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
for hanging with us.
All right, thank you, everybody. Excuse me. Well, thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Okay, we're gonna move on to regular business, new business, and, I guess I will take finance and general policy this time. First off, I'd like to make a motion to ratify the actions of the borough manager in paying the October 2024 invoices from the general fund totaling $321,738.82. Capital projects fund totaling $7,170.76. Farmers market fund totaling $940.50. Payroll account fund totaling $214,948.71. Educational service agency fund totaling $5,854.15. And credit card September 2024, $6,411.04.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second, any discussion?
I have a couple of questions. I apologize. I don't know if these fall into the 24, the October, the November invoices. I assume the gun cleaning supplies are for the police department.
Hope so.
Yeah. So I noticed a lot of charges for pool supplies. And for the concession stands, why are we seeing those invoices in October?
I think it's just the timing. I don't know if you look at your own credit cards, but sometimes you could make a charge like say now, but it won't be due till like the end of next month. I just think it's just the timing when the bills came in and then. Yeah, because that's all credit cards, so if you miss the statement, cycle, it kind of makes it happen.
And I noticed, payment to softball umpires, is that for GAA or is that something?
No, that's through the Green Tree, the adult softball recreation.
Okay. So damaged stroller, what happened there?
That was a stroller that was in the park, was damaged, by a former home. So we were, because it was a brand new stroller.
Okay, and then I saw, Judy, you have, two expenses, mileage, parking, candy.
Yep.
Over $100, so that's all included wherever you had to go, so it's parking to buy the candy?
No, about candy cost that was for the Halloween kids, and the others are for like conference, like meeting.
Oh, you grouped those all together.
That's, I don't know how she did it.
What do you mean, is she?
But I just give her one expense report. And then I don't know necessarily how she did these out like that. And she's separating out.
Okay, and then, I meant to ask a question before the meeting, but could, you email me the total we have paid London Smith and Gannett Plumbing, year to date?
I did.
Yeah, could you?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, Plumbing, it might just take me a while because that's through the CMS system, so I got.
Well, wouldn't that just be in the accounting system?
I could check with that how good we get, I think we get the reimbursement and then it goes out, but either way, I can.
The reason why I asked, I want to make sure that we're still at the point where it makes sense to contract out that service instead of hiring
Yeah.
a full-time engineer.
That's a valid question. I will say this year, engineering is definitely, higher than it was the last couple of years, because I do take a look at that. But we have a lot more. We've had several projects. We've had the Arlo project, that required engineering. We have the Glencoe project. We have all this rain, this $1.2 billion we're spending on this engineering for this project. So I would say, when you look at it, it might appear to be pretty high, but I think it's project driven.
Okay, so then, all right, so then could you maybe look back, this is, if we've had more
I have.
budget meetings, it would help, because we're gonna talk about the budget here in 3 weeks. If you could forecast out how much, based on the current projects we have,
I
how
have.
much are we, okay,
I kind of keep track of that because before, when we transitioned from in-house engineer to completely 100% Lennon Smith, I did look at those numbers, and engineers are pretty expensive. We were running pretty, I think like the first year we saved a little bit of money, and then every year thereafter we're at or maybe a little above. But again, a lot of it's hard to do a fair comparison in my mind, because a lot of this project is, again, you've got, you know, all these PRP projects. We've got the Hackler project was big. Again, Arlo Storm Store, we just did that project down with the culvert
yeah,
restoration.
that's fine, so if
So
you could
just
just
so
provide
you know,
that
yeah.
data, so we
I'll
have.
try to,
budget
I'll try to
meetings.
break it down by project as best I can.
Right, and,
Anyone else? Oh, sorry.
yeah, that's all, yeah.
Okay. Anybody else? Anything
Oh, no,
else?
so, I'm sorry, here's, I knew there was one more. So, I saw that there's a road payment, road paving payment in the bills, in the invoices. What's our process for reconciling the payments against the budget? Like, is that, it does, because it really doesn't come across, we budget for it, right?
Mhm.
And we put it out to bid,
Right.
and then what's the process for reconciling the payment against, is there a purchase order that's issued, and then we
No,
compare the,
because it's a contract, we execute a contract for that, so we can do a purchase order for that.
that somebody's checking to make sure that the payments are,
The Liberoni project, once we will, so what we did was we revised our road paving program this year because the water company was doing projects. They're going to do a project, and Christine Short had brought this up at a meeting. There's a project over by Park Edge that she brought up at a meeting, and we then realized that was on their slate for next year. It was a last minute addition, so they didn't notify us. Anyways, my point is that we had to kind of regroup the road program, and we went after roads that they were actively paving, AWC. And then what we do is we kind of leverage what they owe us by ordinance of curb to curb, 5 foot in the direction of what they constructed, and then we will get that money back. So we're looking to get, I want to say, in the neighborhood of $130,000 towards our road program this year, to help offset the cost. So we are within budget.
okay. And then, yeah, there was one more, because I had these notes up here, so, earlier in the year, we voted to move to the TRIB as our official, publication of record with the cost.
Yeah.
So it seems like these costs are more expensive than the previous publication.
I can double check again, but I'm pretty certain that the Post Gazette is substantially more expensive.
And the value, who is it, the Valley
News Dispatch.
News Dispatch? I'm hearing that circulation doesn't really hit Green Tree.
They, when we looked at it, they qualified. Certainly I could have Jake take a look at it again, just to make sure we're within the realm of what qualifies as distribution, but we can definitely take a look at it. We're at about that time of the year where we would advertise meetings for next year and set the newspaper, so.
Yeah.
We can.
I'm happy to look into that. That was a decision made, obviously,
Yeah, yeah.
before I came on.
Yeah, great, thank you. And that's all I have.
Thank you. We have a motion, a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion passed. Next up, I'd like to make a motion to approve the payment of the November 2024 invoices from the general fund totaling $167,685.09. storm sewer funding totaling $121,351.08. Sanitary sewer funding totaling $579,191.27. And capital projects funding totaling $744,975.50.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained? That motion passes. Next up, like to make a motion to move that we adopt resolution 1355, allocating the distribution of state aid funds to the non-uniform employees money purchase plan and Green Tree Borough Pension Fund. And if you want to make an explanation, I believe we do that.
It's just, it's a standard. We get money from the state to, support the pension fund. And it's, calculated based on the number of employees that you have, and then we're distributing it evenly between the two pension funds.
So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Like a roll call vote, please.
Ms. Barron,
Yes.
Ms. Houts,
Yes.
Mr. Panza,
Yes.
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
Ms. Schwartz,
Yes.
Mr. Tintori.
Yes. Next up, resolution 1356. I would like to move that we adopt resolution 1356, setting the contribution by the participants of the Green Tree Police Pension Plan.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Need a roll call vote, please.
Ms. Barron,
Yes.
Ms. Houts,
Yes.
Mr. Panza,
Yes.
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
Ms. Schwartz,
Yes.
Mr. Tintori.
Yes. Next up, ordinance number 1905, setting 1902, excuse me. Setting the 2024 salary and benefits for Judy Miller as Borough Manager. I move that we pass ordinance 1902, setting salary and benefits for Judy Miller as Borough Manager.
Second.
Have a motion, second, any discussion?
I'd like to know why we didn't have an executive session to talk about this.
I agree.
Agree.
I agree too. I would like to make a motion that we table this discussion until we have a chance to have an executive session. So we have a sub motion if someone would second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
A subsidiary motion. So,
That would be to put
to
it,
table it. until we
Yes, I
have-
agree, table is.
excuse me. So you have a motion and a second to table this motion, the ordinance, correct? Right.
Yeah,
So I'd like to have, yes, any discussion?
I had a comment, that maybe who somebody's remiss in not deciding the 2024 ordinance before. But since this is already November and we're gonna have to think about the 2025. So my thought would be, let's consider 2024 and 2025 at the same time, do an ordinance that covers 2024, do the ordinance that covers 2025, combine them both into one, especially since this one involves a pretty good, pay hike. Let's put them both together. So that's-
Mayor, with all due respect, we have a motion on the table. To table this to go to executive session, what would be?
Okay, I'm sorry.
And that's substantial.
Excuse me,
I will,
But that was my reason to table.
yeah,
I mean, so I was just trying to give my reason to table.
that's fine.
Thank you.
Go ahead. Okay.
I just wanted to say one thing. I believe there was a comment earlier about, other borough staff members. This is the last one that hasn't been done for 2020. Everyone else was set earlier in the year. I wanted that to be clear for everyone now.
Goes to, okay, we have a motion and a second to table the ordinance. I guess we'll do a roll call.
Mr.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain?
I'm gonna abstain just because I don't have enough information.
Sure,
on
that's
this.
fine. Thank you. Okay, that ordinance has been taken.
Thank you.
Like to move on to infrastructure. Ms. Schwartz?
I move that we authorize Shar West Cog to release payment request number 1 in the amount of $12,403.84 and payment request number 2 in the amount of $15,982.80 to Fryer Excavating for the ADA curb grants in accordance with the Borough Engineers correspondence dated October 15th, 2024 and October 31st, 2024. Second.
You have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries.
And that project was paid for by grant funding. That's what it's going to be.
All right, next up, resolution number 1357, Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, year 51 for Green Tree ADA ramps phase 4. I move that we adopt resolution 1357 authorizing Shar West Cog, acting executive director, to execute and file an application for funds with the CDBG year 51 funds in the amount of $48,300 for the Borough of Green Tree ADA ramps phase 4.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Like a roll call vote, please.
Ms. Schwartz,
Yes.
Ms. Barron,
Yes.
Ms. Houts,
Yes.
Mr. Panza,
Yes.
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Tintori.
Yes. Resolution passes.
All right. Resolution 1358, statewide local share assessment grant, Holiday Drive, Mansfield Storm Sewer Improvements. I move that we adopt resolution 1358, authorizing the borough manager to file an application for a state local share assessment grant in the amount of $1 million to be used for Holiday Drive, Mansfield Storm Sewer Improvements.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Schwartz,
Yes.
Ms. Barron,
Yes.
Ms. Houts,
Yes.
Mr. Panza,
Yes.
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
Mr. Tintori.
Yes. That passes. Thank you very much. Ms. Schwartz. Move on to public facilities, Ms. Barron.
Yeah, so resolution number 1359, this is for the Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, year 51 for the Green Tree Pool House ADA improvements. I move that we adopt resolution number 1359, authorizing Shar West Cog, acting executive director, to execute and file an application for funds with the CDBG year 51 funds in the amount of $50,000 for the Borough of Green Tree Pool House ADA improvements. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Is this the same type of grant that we applied for to fund the restroom improvements?
It is similar but a different program. So
Did we file an application for this program to fund the bathrooms?
there was the other one, but that was for 500,000 full renovation of the bathhouse. This is specific to.
No, I'm sorry, the municipal bathroom.
These were the-
Yes, we did, unfortunately, we were not.
Okay,
Yes.
but it was the same program, the CDBG.
Same.
here. Okay.
And what was interesting is one of the individuals from the COG that pushed me to apply for that. Yeah, so, yeah, unfortunately, we didn't get it completely. Between this application and then the other one that was for $500,000 overall renovation of the full house, hopefully we'll get it. You know, we always hope to get at least 50%.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Anything else? If not, roll call, please.
Ms. Barron,
Yes.
Ms. Houts,
Yes.
Mr. Panza,
Yes.
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
Ms. Schwartz,
Yes.
Mr. Tintori.
Yes.
Okay, so resolution number 1360, statewide local share assessment, LSA grant for the pool house renovations. I move that we adopt resolution number 1360, authorizing the borough manager to file an application for a state local share assessment grant in the amount of $510,000 to be used for Wilson Pool House renovation. Second.
We Motion and second, any discussion?
Did-
Go ahead.
You can explain.
No, I was just gonna say, this is an application to, we're authorizing Ms. Miller to put in an application to ask for money from this specific program.
Did we file an application for this specific program to fund the ADA improvements for the bathrooms?
This one, no, because, this particular one is not. CDBG is what we apply for when you're looking for ADA funds. LS, because they're very specific to that, or you need to be a low-income community. And this program is, you don't need to be low-income, or it doesn't need to have the ADA requirements.
So this one, this one could fund the bathrooms in the municipal building?
No, it's only.
Cannot.
This would be for,
Could we apply?
No. Because the underlying premise of the renovations is for ADA accommodations, because they are currently not ADA accessible. So it needed to be a CDBG grant.
So this grant, the state local share assessment, that's why we have two separate, one for ADA and one for
Yes.
all the other stuff. And
And if you'll notice some of the other CDBGs, if you notice they're tied to ADA.
and did we talk about this maybe back in June, a similar type of grant to fund renovations to the bathhouse, to the pool house? What's the difference between pool house and bathhouse? Same thing?
It's the same thing,
Okay.
sometimes just the way the grant application is initially structured, but, yes, we are applying there's several, that was a GEBTF grant, which is, that's gaming money, that is different than this particular grant program. So you kind of just throw everything at the wall, see what sticks, and hopefully we'll get it covered.
And, so applying for it assumes that we're doing it, or can we change our mind?
You can decline the grant, absolutely, and I will say, just if you don't mind, spoiler alert, but, this particular grant program, this statewide local share grant, which is gaming funds coming back to communities. We applied for $1 million grant last year, and we were just notified we were awarded $500,000. So that was a big bonus for us. Again, it's half, but we still have another outstanding grant, which they've not announced the award timing. It's through the governor's office. We applied for $1.5 million. So we keep in touch with our state legislatures and just tell them how desperately we need the money to do our goals. So hopefully, again, even if we could get half of it, quarter of it, we take anything that we got. Yeah,
I
well, we
want
still,
more than
so,
that.
yeah, so we got 500 of the 1 million. We haven't heard about the 1.5 million, and then all these other grants will just kind of stack up and hopefully, help offset what we need to spend out of our tax dollars.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Barron,
yes.
Ms. Haltz,
Yes.
Mr. Panza,
Yes.
Mr. Ray.
Yes.
Ms. Schwartz,
Yes.
Mr. Tintori.
Yes. Resolution passed. Thank you very much. We move on to mayor's report.
Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Shane.
Yeah, I'll be quick, but I do have 11 things. First, I'd also like to give a shout out to Veterans Day. I was not a veteran. My dad was a veteran. He was in World War II. And he served in Guam. So do we have any veterans in the audience today? If anybody, please stand up. Thank you. Moving on, I attended a Halloween parade at the fire hall. Chris Short was there, Luann was there, Nicholas was there, Jen Matthew. It was a good event. There were, I'd say, well over 100 young kids from the community, and they gave prizes, and there was a lot of activities. The Balloon Man was there. They had pizza and things. So thank you for everyone that ran that event. On my street, Eileen Hennefield of Hennefield Garage. She died. She was 89 years old. I went to the funeral home. She was a nice lady. She was involved in a lot of things in her younger days in the community. And we're missing her. She was 2 houses up from me as a neighbor. We did hire 2 new police officers. They started today. It was a long process. There was civil service. It was Cameron Hewitt, Hewitt, and Tyler Frederick. I'll be swearing them in shortly. But they're going to hopefully by December they'll be able to cover some shifts. They both have experience, but they still have to get accustomed to our, way of doing things and things like that. So, I'd like to congratulate Jennifer. I don't even know how to say her last name. House, I swore her in on October 28th. I didn't do it officially now, but that way she could get all the information ahead of time. So welcome aboard here. So maybe she has second thoughts after tonight, but she's still here. Then I would like to congratulate, he left our, but for him coming, Christopher House, the new building code official. So that's good. A couple more things here in regards to the Dairy Queen. I brought up the last time, the Dairy Queen that's abandoned here, the conservatorship. I did give Jake,
I answered about.
Jake and Miss Miller, the contact information, so hopefully they'll give us a report shortly on the contact, what they're going to contact the people that are interested, that attorney, and see if we can do something with that Dairy Queen that's been abandoned for a long period of time. See if we can get another business in there, get that place fixed up. I'd like to reiterate, moving on, I think I'm already up to 9. Light up night is Ms. Short, 29th, November 23rd. So it's the same as the city of Pittsburgh, but, ours would be better. So if I come here, it's running light up night.
If I may say, please be careful, it's called Light Up Green Tree.
Light up Green Tree.
You cannot call it Light Up Night, that is a copyrighted
Sheesh.
term, so please always Light Up Green Tree.
I'll get the lawsuit tomorrow. It's all right.
They send you an email every year.
Okay, two more things, just in general, when you have a police chief, in the past, the police chief is always like is an employee at will, he's not part of the union. Police chief is not part of the union, and police chief in the past was not paid overtime. So that's a big difference between an officer and a police chief. One doesn't get overtime, one doesn't get union protection. Lieutenant Brannigan has done an excellent job for the last year and a half. He's kept this department, the morale up. We were down to 6 or 7 officers. I think people can attest, they've had to work overtime. Everyone's been good. We would have liked to, Chief Brannigan, Lieutenant Acting Chief to become the chief. It just didn't work out with those various issues. I can't get into the details, but there were various issues. Everybody wants him, has nothing to do with performance, just couldn't work out an agreeable contract on all sides. So we will be looking for a police chief. So we're gonna go through that process. Hate to do that, but we just, that's the decision, council and everyone's in right now. So, but I do want to thank him publicly for everything he's done and continues to do. He's training these 2 new officers, and the morale has been great, even though we've been down so many people. And the last thing is I would like council to consider to see if the pool can actually be constructed in August and September. To do some research to see if we can really construct the pool. Can we do it? Can we actually keep it open and construct it? They really get an engineering opinions or something.
We are doing that. That would be, we can't discuss it yet. We would have to wait until our public meeting when we are putting that out to bid to explore our options. Yeah.
Okay, I just would like to know, I appreciate that. I wasn't aware of that, but anyhow.
We can't talk about it.
I can say we were looking into it. I mean, I can't see.
I haven't gotten my report yet.
But we're looking into it. Okay, but anyhow, I can't say, but we're looking into it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We move on to committee reports. Finance, I've been sitting here, I have nothing additional, so we'll move on to infrastructure.
You know what, I'll do mine, let council go and I'll talk to infrastructure.
Judy's gonna
Okay, that's
do
fine.
infrastructure, because she's.
So
Fair-
let's, we're filling in until we get things reordered. Okay, planning and zoning.
Everyone got to meet Chris House this evening. I know the planning commission is very grateful to have him on board. We only have one planning commission meeting this month because of the holidays. It'll be November 13th. Also, we do know we have one commission member who will be stepping down in December. So there is an opening coming up on planning commission. That is posted if you want to submit your information for that position. And that's all I have right now.
Thank you very much. Move on to public facilities equipment. Ms. Beck.
Okay, yeah, I've got a lot. So the Rope Park sidewalk, when we talked, it was being completed today. Is that
For today.
for today? So we just have to wait for that concrete to dry. The Green Tree Cemetery that we're in charge of that cemetery. We are still trying to get in contact with companies. The first company was unresponsive, so Ms. Miller has been working with the second company, 2 more. And so we're waiting to hear back from them. I did want to thank all of the volunteers and library board members and library staff for contributing to the great success for the library book sale in October. And truly thanks for all the people who came shopping to support the library. This is certainly lots of Green Tree residents, but it is also a lot of people who value our library and who like shopping in our community and come to shop our annual book sale. And I hope that everyone got some really good reads. The library board is seeking new board members. If you're interested in being a part of the library board, they are currently accepting applications. You can see that application through the website, or you could stop into the library and ask for more information. The pool specifications continue to be developed. As we mentioned earlier in the meeting, we have asked aquatic engineers to give us some potential dates for a future meeting to be held for the public to go through any amenities that we would want to add, if any. Nothing has been decided for the pool feature. The committee will also consider what additional feedback would look like outside of that public meeting, though we are asking for aquatic engineers to give us at least a 4-week window time to get that meeting scheduled. When that meeting is scheduled, of course, we'll talk about it here, but it will also be published on our website. One of the things that our committee will continue to look at when that meeting comes into place, when we have that information, is what it would look like, how the construction will actually roll out. We voted on what the pool design is, but nothing else has been set yet. That is not, we as a council have to agree to those things. So we are looking at the different options we would have for construction. At the end of the day, whatever we decide does have to go out to bid, and the bid would then get awarded to the lowest bidder, as per bidding rules, bidding laws. I don't know what the word I'm looking for. Yes, thank you. I'm just a law librarian, not a lawyer, so. So we will keep everyone posted, and that construction is not set. It won't be set until we, as a council, can decide what we would want to put out to bid. And there might be some different options that we could do, and we'll have to review that together. And that's it.
I have a question about the cemetery. I think you mentioned, Mr. Barron, that we reached out to 2 more and haven't heard back yet.
So the first individual became unresponsive, even though we had an on-site visit, explaining to come out. Ghosted, I think is the current term. So then I understand you reached out to maybe who you thought I was dealing with, John Rotella.
I just reached out to Tom.
Well, that's who I was working with.
Oh, okay.
Yes. But apparently there are several contacts that have broken apart, apparently family thing. So I did make an appointment with her, and I waited for her for 45 minutes in the cemetery. She goes to me. In a cemetery makes sense. But I will say that I did reach out to another company, and they did come out, and they did reach out, and they're providing a pricing. So it should be taken care of. They didn't have any super immediate concerns, but there are probably about 10 monuments that we should. Okay. state.
I'm not sure if this fits under community welfare or wherever, but, let's talk about the AV upgrades and where are we through that process?
I'm sorry.
The AV upgrades,
Yes.
Ms. Miller, I think, was gonna talk about it in her update. We do discuss it in our weekly meetings, but it is going to be, we talked about it last meeting, that it'll be put into the budget for next year.
Yes, I already met with them and actually the quote,
But she can talk about it in her.
is that happening in a committee? Is it something that we?
I would take it to, public properties, that's where we would go to first and then see if it's reasonable. A little bit of the difficulty with that is, it's a little bit of a specialty. It's like sound production, they would be looking to replace the full rack system in there, which is probably 20+ years old. The microphones, I think, they're pretty old. We're gonna just look at the whole thing and see, one of the biggest things we would look to upgrade, so as you can see from tonight's meeting, having a screen in front of the council is not ideal. So we would be looking to a wall mount monitor, would basically be like a large screen, which I don't think would be too bad to have to sit like this. The room, unfortunately, because we don't have a permanent wall, and the side walls, it's pretty difficult.
This
So
is a
anyways,
multi-use room. right?
that's what we looked at. So anyways, I already have one quote, so we'll see what we got.
Is there opposition to live streaming? It sounded like, based on Nick's comments.
We are live streaming now. We're live streaming on Zoom, and I think what Nick is suggesting is that we live stream on YouTube. And I did find out, just to address what Nick had brought up. We do have a YouTube account, which I did tell him I don't think we do. I think we just shared it with there. But the only way we use, the manner in which we use YouTube is simply to edit the film that then, I shouldn't say that, that sounds bad. So Kim starts the Zoom like 10 minutes, 5 or 10 minutes before the meeting starts, just to make sure it's up and running. And in that time, there's a lot of people just in there gathered and talking. So what she does is she uses that to cut off the beginning and cut off the end, so it only goes from, when we call the meeting to order to adjourning. Again, we are live streaming right now. You could go in the phone, you can live stream this meeting. So, it's just how many platforms do we want to do that on? Again, my concern is we are a very small staff. I know we get offers of volunteer and that's great. My concern is if the volunteer goes away and the staff can't manage it, we now have established an expectation of level of service that might become difficult to manage. It certainly, if the council would want to do that, we would do it again. I'm just concerned because again, we are a very small staff.
Well, what's the concern? Sorry, what's the concern?
Streaming and sharing on all these different platforms. We currently live stream on Zoom. Zoom live, that's live stream. That's live stream. I mean, it's always on the website, it's always at Facebook. So, I think for now it's working. We can certainly talk about other options.
Anything else?
My report's done. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
We got off track on
All
my
right, so
report.
we'll
Sorry.
move on to
My report
public-
is done.
We'll move on to public safety then, Mr. Ray.
Yeah, public safety, as the mayor mentioned, he's swearing in 2 new officers today. Congratulations to them. The public safety committee met to talk about the hiring of the police chief. Mr. Panza had an idea that we try to do it ourselves first and then, if need be, reach out to other resources. The committee agreed. So we're gonna move forward with that strategy. We have a draft job posting, the mayor's providing feedback to me. And we'll share that with all of council for posting it. Once we hire the chief, permanent chief will be fully staffed with 9 officers plus the chief, so that's good news for the officers and for our overtime expense. And then just a reminder, with leaves, we have Public Works comes around and vacuums the leaves. It's really important that you vacuum, that you rake the leaves to the curb and not on the street. That becomes a safety hazard, and same thing with snow. When you shovel the snow or blow the snow off your driveway and sidewalk, don't blow it into the street inside. It causes a safety hazard too. And that's the end of my report.
Okay, moving on to recreation.
Oh, I'm sure we have some questions.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sure.
So can we back up about the police chief? This is the first I'm hearing of it, that your committee has decided something and is moving forward with something that we have not discussed, as a whole council. And, you know, you like to talk about transparency. I would ask that why did you make that decision? That is not something that we ever discussed in an executive session. And I have some major concerns about this. I am not sure that your committee, which now currently consists of, who's on your committee? You and Ron.
And the mayor.
And the mayor. We don't have a third
And
yet.
Art's invited.
Art is the person standing in for the other. What are your qualifications for enacting a police chief search? I'm very concerned about this, and I'm very concerned that you came here tonight and said that you were going to do it without ever once talking about it.
Baron, the amount of decisions that your committee makes and the finance and general
We bring it
policy of
here.
all things, the amount of decisions that are made behind closed doors that come out here are pales in comparison.
Okay, I would like to say, let's just move that discussion
decision we
to.
make, we bring here.
Yeah, I would like to
I
tell you.
We have not,
I would like to say that we're gonna move that to the executive session.
it was addressed in public, I'm going to address it.
Go ahead. But I think we're moving it to, that discussion is gonna be moved to an executive session, but you may continue.
Great, thank you. No
Wait,
decision was
could we
made.
have a
You just have
motion,
to.
just like we did with her salary? We
But
have
that wasn't-
motion to move this
This is on
discussion.
the
This is just an
agenda.
update.
No, no, no.
It's not agenda. It's
Nothing is,
just
we're
a
just
part of the
updating some information. The personnel. Go ahead.
What's the personnel decision?
It's hiring a chief.
We're not making a decision on.
I know.
the Personnel, we're making a decision on a process.
Correct.
There's a process that's being used to hire a contractor to fix the cemetery stones. And that is being done behind closed doors. It's
We haven't
being
voted
done.
on anything, and we've been
We're
discussing.
not
it
gonna
every
vote, we're not gonna vote on a contractor to fix cemetery.
I would not bring the cemetery contractor to this council. That's a decision.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Oh.
You're not.
I think I would bring that.
But that's
No.
not.
I confused me.
Come on, guys. Just made my,
Excuse me.
I'm saying.
No, Cat,
what I
I
said.
understand your frustration, but please have some decorum.
Exactly.
I'm only here to run the meeting. I'm not here to correct you. I don't wanna have to correct you. Please. Thank you.
Mr. Panza brought up an idea. See if we can facilitate the hiring process like we've done in the past on our own with other positions. Ms. Miller does it all the time. Do not go out and hire a headhunter to hire the new code enforcement officer. She does it on her own. We thought maybe to save an expense that we could try it internally. We would be very transparent throughout the entire process. I've been very transparent with the dealings with the acting chief. Everybody has been copied on every email. I've been completely transparent with that process.
This update that you gave us tonight is the first I've heard of any updates regarding the police since our last executive session, which was our last meeting. I have not heard any, it was a month ago, it was our last meeting.
Right.
I have not heard anything. You haven't
We
mentioned
haven't
anything
We haven't
about.
executed anything.
But
we have
you
not
said
posted
tonight,
a
that's what you
job.
were going to do.
I would
I
say
would like to
What I
take
said
this to
tonight, what I said
executive
tonight,
session.
Ms. Barron, is that what I said tonight was that we are drafting a job posting that I will share with all of council before it is posted. I did not say that we're gonna post it and then come back to you with candidates. I said, I am going to share, and you can check the meeting minutes, that I'm going to share the job posting with all of council. Did I not say that?
Mr. Wright, I think.
How's
we
that not
would
being
all like to
transparent?
discuss this in executive.
I would love to discuss everything in your committee too. I'm on your committee, and we don't meet.
May I make a suggestion? We have a budget meeting, on the 18th, and I would like to schedule an executive session in advance of that, and then we could talk about this as well as.
Ms. Barron and Ms.
That would be
Miller
great.
meet weekly. What is happening in those? You're not sharing your updates that's coming out of that.
With my committee?
Ms. Schwartz, we haven't, I can't recall the last time you had a planning and zoning.
I don't remember getting an email from you on public safety.
What? You're on every single email.
No, I haven't, not lately.
You're on everything. single email.
Okay, let's just move ahead, okay?
This is like Twilight Zone.
Sure, let's move ahead, okay?
You're on every email, Art.
Thank you. Okay, anything else? You saw the floor.
Yeah, there's a line of sight issue that I'll address. It's not a public safety issue, it's a code enforcement issue. On Green Tree Road, we have complaints of vehicles turning onto Green Tree Road and line of sight issues with some shrubbery and trees that the acting chief is determined to be a code enforcement issue.
Yes, and I will say that the lieutenant and Christopher House have already met and are proceeding with notifying the homeowners of the problem.
Thank you.
And Lieutenant Rannigan did address that. Officers addressed the complaint of several new obstructions on side streets along Green Tree Road. I met with the code enforcement officer. They both agreed that was one that it was a code issue. Mr. House was going to reach out to the residents. So we have somebody in place now, so that's good. Mr. House and acting chief Rannigan.
Anything else?
I guess I need some clarity on a couple of things. One, I'm not sure who's chairing the committee of all things, the finance and general policy. I asked that question. And I also, maybe we need to establish a protocol on what should and should not be shared with all of council when we have our committee meetings. Because there are plenty of meetings, I assume, that are happening that, I don't know all the things that are going on with discussion between you and Ms. Miller. You don't share that with me. I'm not copied on.
All of my
every single
stuff goes
email.
into the updates that get sent before this meeting.
You've been copied almost in every single email in the last 3 months when it comes to public safety.
And I'm saying that I have not heard anything in the last month. Was an email sent? That I was copied on in the last month.
There was one email, and it was the draft job posting that we discussed in the public safety meeting. The mayor's going back to the acting chief to get some clarity on some of the qualifications. And in my statement today, I said that I will share that job posting with all of council before it's posted. You'll be on that email list.
I think the issue is whether we do it in-house or have it outside. I think that's
It's a
an issue.
personnel
That needs-
issue.
That's the personnel
Committee has
issue.
made a recommendation.
That's fine, and we'll discuss it.
It's a personnel issue.
We will need to discuss.
It's a
That's-
process, in my opinion, we can
That's
agree or
fine.
disagree. In my opinion, it's a
Well,
process.
see, the beauty of this is we're allowed to have differences of opinion, and then we go to a meeting, you have opinion, that's fine, and other people have opinions, and that's why we're here. Otherwise, we're rubber stamping everything, we all have opinions, so we will be more than happy to sit down and have an opinion. Anything else, Mr. Ray? Thanks. I'd like to move on to recreation, Mr. Payne.
Yes, due to the lateness of this meeting, I'll be very brief. I recently attended the farmer's market, and while I was there, I saw a lot of people coming up, receiving the tokens, and I saw this is really a great thing for the community. However, we tend not to pay our volunteers enough money because we just don't. Well, yes, and we expect, we hear how great Halloween was, we have a light up. Did someone mention light up night tonight? Yes, I think every. Green Tree light up. Anyways. Our rec committee does a great job, they provide a lot of services. And, come budget time, I may be looking to get them some help. And, that's all I have. That's the end of my report.
All right, thank you very much. Move on to president's report, most of it's been discussed. The big issue, obviously this is November, we have two very, very big holidays, Thanksgiving. But the first big one is Veterans Day on Monday, and we can certainly be thankful for our veterans more than anything else. So that's, to me, is the most important holiday. And everything else has been said. We have the holidays coming in at the end of the month, and we'll end up the rest of the year. So I will move on to the manager.
Okay, just want to let everybody know that interviews for the vacant council seat will be conducted on November 14th, right here in this room, beginning at 6:30 p.m. And we have received 5 applications. So we will be interviewing those 5 candidates that evening. If there was overflow, we were maybe gonna do something on the 18th, but as it turns out, we did not, and just as well as we're not doing executive session before budget hearing that is on November 18th, beginning at 7 p.m. Okay. So that's
When do
the
we get
news.
to know who the 5 candidates are?
I sent them to you on Friday.
No,
When are you
when
making
will
it
you
public?
publish your?
Oh, as soon as I schedule them, I've heard back from 2 of the 5. So once they're confirmed, they'll be posted on the website. They will be posted here in the building, so everybody will know who's gonna be interviewed. So that'll be helpful. I already mentioned the $500,000 full grant that we received. We also received a $96,000 grant to help eliminate light in the community. We have one structure that was targeted, and then if we locate anything else, we'll use as much of that money as we possibly can to eliminate any dangerous structures. Mayor, you mentioned the Dairy Queen. I did speak with the attorney. Yeah, and he was to send me some information. I haven't received it yet, but I'm sure it's en route. And Chris is a little bit familiar with that process as well, and that's something we'll be having a conversation with Jake about, just to ensure we don't. The Trumbull Dread Bridge, I know this is a project that seems like it's been around forever, and it has. We knew that we needed the bridge to be rebuilt, and bond proceeds, we floated a bond to do it because it's a $6.5 million project. That was in 2021. We took receipt of those funds early February, and then on or about mid to late summer of 2022, through various conversations with our engineers and also with the state, we determined that this project would be a very good project for the Transportation Improvement Program, which is called the TIP. And we did apply to ask if that bridge could be part of that program, and it was. It was accepted into the program, which means that the federal government will pay for 90% of the project. So that, $6.5 million project, the borough will probably end up expending maybe anywhere from $400,000 to $600,000 in gas. The timing of it though is what, because it got on the tip and because it is now a federal project, there are about an extra 300 hoops of fire that we need to jump through. And we're going through those right now. The preliminary design is being finalized. The final design will be worked on between all of next year. So all of 2025, they will do the final design, and then they're looking to put the project out to bid in the first quarter of 2026. So we'd probably be looking at the summer of 26 for construction. And what they'll do is they'll keep one lane at all times, obviously. So that's that. And then the ADA ramps, which we approved payment for today, those are complete. We did get a grant for about $247,000 for sidewalks along Green Tree Road. There's a long stretch, both sides of the street that need to be completed, unfortunately, hugely expensive. So this year, we applied for 700,000, we only got 247. So we will do the section of Green Tree Road from Banbury and Crestmont down to McMonagle. Little late in the year right now, so they will look to put that out to bid probably like January for spring construction. And really the goal is there, if you look on those roads, the curb's almost even with the road. There's really no protection for the pedestrians, so bring those curbs up with a nicer sidewalk. Hopefully it'll make that grass area. And I know it's late, so I will.
I have a question. Did the fire department submit their budget request?
I'm meeting with them tomorrow, 10:15. Yes. And last but really important, there's the flyers over there about the Green Tree Rotary Food Drive. It will be on November the 16th, non-perishable items. You don't have to take them anywhere. You could just put them on your front porch and we drive by and we pick them up. Yeah. I do ask though, if it's rainy or has rained and the ground is wet, please put them in plastic bags. Otherwise, we can pick up the bag. So really appreciate, last year the community was very generous. We took a ton of food over to the food bank. And they have indicated they're very needy right now, so I appreciate the community support.
Judy, can you tell us which food bank that, the donations go to?
I went there last year. It's a church, but I can't remember the name.
Is it the church here in Green Tree that?
No, it's not.
Oh, the crafting.
I didn't know that it was even that close, but, they're very needy and certainly, canned goods.
I was just curious if.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of food banks and I just try to spread the donations out because there's needy people everywhere.
Also Green Tree is also collecting coats, any new or gently used coats. Apparently there's a, I don't know the name of it, but it's an organization that, has realized there are a lot of local children and adults that simply don't have coats. You know, when a kid's not outside playing and they say the reason why they're not outside playing is because it was not their turn to wear the coat. So, you know, you can contact me directly about that. Just take me to the Rotary meeting, together with some of our fellow Rotarians, take the coats to the mission. Genesis. Is the one. That's it.
Thank you very much.
I would love to make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
We are adjourned. Thank you very much.
I heard.
See you in.